gonna test.
Yes, that's right. Everything is crazy.
Are we settled down here?
I think we're done. That's good.
Yeah, okay. A funny thing happened to me on the way to the airport tonight. Honest to God. Somebody sent me a text message and said, when are you showing up over at Sweetwater? And I said, well, like, no, like next month. When? What? And she said, well, you're on the bill for a panel discussion at Sweetwater to talk about this new Garcia movie. And I said, what new Garcia movie? And she said, well, presumably you're in it. And I said, oh, I'm certain I'm not. She said, but you are going to moderate a discussion that includes 3 people that you really love and care for. And she named them. And I said, oh, fuck. People think I'm going to do that. I don't believe I'm going to get on an airplane tonight. So here I am.
Where were you going?
I was going to Mobile, Alabama. Well, I mean, they're all head up down there about whether or not they can marry their chicken or something. It's not quite that bad, but frankly, I'd rather be black in Mobile, Alabama than Mill Valley any day of the week.
This is to get the audience warmed up and like it.
Get on. That's how I moderate a panel, just so. Okay, did everybody like that movie that I didn't see? And wasn't in?
We called. We tried to get you in.
It's okay.
You were in Alabama.
I was. Well, what I saw of it, it looked really excellently wrought, and it was certainly full of people that I loved, and they were being taken from some of their best angles. Which, you know, for some of us is getting to be a bit of a challenge. But nobody understands.
Oh, thank you.
In any case, it is a wonderful movie. What I saw of it, and did everybody here like it?
It's only half over.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, maybe it goes completely to hell in the second half.
That was the good half.
Maybe I could still be in it then.
We could try to get you in real quick.
Good. All right.
It's about 200 hertz.
No, that's not 200 hertz. Is that 200 hertz?
It's right around 200 hertz.
Acoustic engineering?
Where's my iPhone? Something's got to be an app for that.
That's 220. There we go. We're gonna notch that puppy right on out of there.
You know, one of the things that many may not know about Bob Weir. There's so many things I could say at that point. It'd be really funny to just pick one randomly, but I won't. Is that he discovered recently that part of the reason that he has a lot of neck pain is that he's been watching himself play. Throughout.
The shoulder pain, actually. But
Yeah, I guess he was never taught to be a touch typist, is the equivalent. In any case, he watches himself. And now he's trying to learn how not to at this age.
right.
Which I think is actually, could give the boy a hand. I think that's actually pretty fun.
Well, most guitarists watch their left hand, but you try doing that for 50 years, 4 hours a night, plus sound check, plus practicing and stuff like that, and it mounts up. And so there's every possibility that
eventually you get this.
Right. there's every possibility that I spent more time on stage playing guitar than any human who ever lived. And
I still don't know whether he's bragging or complaining.
yeah, well, both, obviously. But if if there's going to be a repetitive stress situation that's going to occur, I'm test monkey number one, as usual.
Much worse than stenography.
Yeah, and better too.
Okay, folks, we build this as a Q&A. If you guys...
Does that mean it wasn't
No, I think
Q part.
the questions I think are designed to come from the audience. Since
John's moderating, but he hasn't seen the movie.
but I haven't seen the movie, right? Puts me at a distinct disadvantage.
That's how we roll, people.
No, not necessarily. I mean, there was one time Bobby and I back when we drank. At one of the periods during which we drank, we hijacked a radio station in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, at like 2 o'clock in the morning for a call-in show, and we were getting questions that were not up to spec. And Jackson is a reasonably small town, so we just got out the phone directory and started waking people up and asking them.
The original shock jock.
What would a chair look like if your knees bent the other direction?
I don't know who you are, but sleep it off.
So we can do that to these people.
Good threat.
I'll bet Trixie's got a number of questions like that you could ask.
A number of questions just like that.
Exactly, word for
Your
word.
knees went the wrong way.
I don't need to introduce my colleagues up here, do I?
We will anyway.
They
just
need
in
no-
case.
No, it was great to see ourselves, to relive this great night that I can't believe was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Whoa, was it that long ago?
Yeah.
It seems like it was just minutes.
For me, it was.
Yeah, well, for you. But we know about you.
So if
Well,
anybody's
okay,
got
I'm
a
gonna
question-
ask the obvious question. How did this all come together?
Well, this all came together. It started with us at TRI because every year it just gets fucking harder and harder to get Jerry something for his birthday. And since he's been dead, it's really fucking tough.
I gotta stop you right there. Every year, through from the mid-70s to about the mid-80s, I thought long and hard about what I wanted to get Jerry for his birthday. I started, generally a couple months early, and every year it came around to one thing that I really, really wanted to get him that I thought he'd really dig. That would be an anteater. Now there are several different kinds of anteaters. There's the most populous ones are the greater and lesser ant bear or anteaters. And the lesser ant bear has they're bears. Has 3 stomachs, and they don't do well in captivity. But the big ones, the greater ant bear, and they're about that tall, and make wonderful pets.
Especially if you don't move around much yourself.
Right, you can't tell which way they're going.
You take them for a walk across the room.
But they're affectionate, and they got that long tongue for getting the honey out of the bottom of the stump, and ants too. And I always came up just a little shy. Never did get him his ant bear or
Well, how much does one of these cost?
It didn't. Money was no object. I would have passed the hat if it was abhorrently expensive. I never quite got there. One of these incarnations, I'm going to get him an anteater. But anyway, on to Jerry's birthday.
I was going to say the same thing. That's so weird. Every year there's some event around Jerry's birthday. Everybody has a bunch of ideas, and so being that we're TRI, we figured we might as well do something musical and fun and something that he would absolutely hate because it was all about him and in honor of him. And so we truly think we accomplished that. But it had to have humor. That was the point. Humor and good music.
Thank you.
And then I asked Trixie. She was into it. The family was into it. And that's what you see behind us. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Now I gotta say that the whole thing, I was on the road while it was being put together, and John, solicit questions from your
I'm just trying to find out how much it costs to get a larger annual.
Okay, good.
And if it's at all possible.
Greater
Not a
ant beer.
good gift.
It all
not a
came
good
together.
gift.
I don't, it could
And
be.
we would have been stuck taking
No, they're
care
very-
of the anteater when Jerry was on the road.
Hold it, I just saw a video
Think
as,
of the ants.
I saw a video, as one will, on YouTube of a cat, a large cat, that had in love with him one of the greater anteaters, who was stroking him and hugging him, and the cat was digging it, and the anteater was definitely digging it.
Oh, they're affectionate pets, and they're they're wonderful. They make good pets. Anyway, so this all was put together, pieced together, while I was on the road, mostly by I think Chris McCutcheon over here, who's
He takes the blame.
and he was way the hell too efficient about it. So he got way the hell too many musicians, and a list of way the hell too many songs. And then I come home from the road, and I'm musical director, and I have to try to figure out how to get all these songs and all these musicians into what was supposed to have been like 2.5 hours. It ended up being 4. The show itself ended up being 4, and we had to cut at least a third of the songs, maybe closer to half. And somehow we had to crowd everybody who wanted to play, and went to the trouble and expense of getting to San Rafael to play. We had to, make it worth their while and get them on the. Somehow we managed to do it all.
Out of way, Bobby.
And the days of rehearsal were wonderful. It was great to have everyone mulling around in the halls and remembering what it was about Jerry that they thought was so amazing. And everyone sharing their stories.
Is
Those
that
couple
captured?
days.
I mean, did you get a lot of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see.
We'll be putting the outside.
I'll get you a copy, John.
The rehearsal days were really special.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up one of the cool things about the rehearsal days. We're seeing all these musicians learning the songs, and having, when Bob would call a huddle in what we have a little dining area with all the musicians in there and telling the story of the song and really dispelling myths about the song and different ways of interpreting.
Dispelling myths.
Dispelling.
Misspelling myths.
Bob, can you talk about some of the misconceptions some of the band members have on how to play the songs, and then how you interacted with them to bring out their own interpretation?
Me? I don't remember any of that. I do remember some of those huddles, but Christ, did we do He's Gone? Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. I had to. A popular misconception about that song, for instance, is it's about somebody who died.
Completely different.
Well, the guy actually has died, or had died by then, but it wasn't about that. It was about one of our early managers who just took all our money and left. And as they say, gone like a cool breeze.
Yeah.
That was what the song was about.
Steal your face right off of your head.
Right. Like I told you what I said.
God.
And there were numerous songs that I had to sort of set folks straight about. And then also The great jazz drummer Art Blakey, who didn't sing, by the way, but one of his famous quotes is, "You can't play a song unless you know the words." So if guys were
Drummers are always saying stuff like that to me. I mean, I shake my head and I said, "Doesn't matter, nobody knows." He said, "The drummer always knows."
and so for the folks who were just there to play, I had to, okay, here's the way the song goes, and you can read into it what you want. Really, you can construct your own movie there, but nonetheless, here's the lyric. We went through that kind of stuff a lot.
You'll see it more in the next act.
I know there's got to be some burning questions out there, so if anybody raise their hand.
So my birthday's in, my birthday's in July, so if you'd like to throw me a party, you're more than welcome to. Invite whoever you'd like. So I have a question for you on the lyrics. Do you think that when you wrote because of the musicians that you knew were going to get to play your words, or do you think your lyrics would have been different had you ended up finding a different circle of people that were going to play your music?
I had absolutely no intention of becoming a songwriter, and did entirely by accident. I had been a reasonably good poet in college back when they had women's colleges and men's colleges, and I discovered that a fella could ride his motorcycle around to the women's colleges in New England and recite poetry of his own composition and do okay. if the poetry was any good, and my poetry instructor at the time was Richard Wilbur, who was the poet laureate of the United States. I confessed my motives to him at one point. He said, "My God, man, what did you think it was for?" But I came upon, it was in the back room of the Capitol Theater in New York during a long run where everybody in the whole family was there for some weird reason. They'd rented a great big funky house in Dutchess County, and everybody was there. And I came upon Bob Hunter and Bobby trying to write a song. And I must tell you, Hunter is irascible and Weir is impossible. And it's not necessarily a happy combination, especially if they've both been drinking and taking marching powders.
That was before the marching powder days.
There was an element, but Hunter turned to me and said, "Why don't you write songs with him? You like him. He's your friend." And I said, "Well, I don't know that I know how to write songs." And he said, "Well, I read your poetry, it's pretty good." And I said, "But I think it's different." And he said, "Oh yeah, it's very different, but you'll figure it out or not." And I turned to Weir and he gave me one of those Weir looks like, "Well, I don't know. I mean..." So I went home and I wrote Mexicali Blues, and because he was singing cowboy songs in those days, and I thought,
and we had just come back from Mexico anyway,
and we had just had this completely surreal trip to Mexico in a 3-cylinder Saab with John McIntyre, rest his soul.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey Bob, what was it like to work with him?
There was one time, I remember we were working at my house, it was late at night, alcohol was involved, and I was trying to, John, this is just way the fuck too stilted. This is, come on, let's write something that people can understand, and John made the timeless quote, "If there's one literate man left in America, I write for him." At which point
You never say shit like that unless you're drunk.
At which point I felt it best to just disappear. I ran up the stairs and into my bathroom and locked the door, which he swiftly kicked in.
I kicked it in.
And
we went at it for a while, and
We didn't actually come to blows, but it was close.
if our aim had been better, we would. But there was a guy staying there named Richard Hungen.
Oh, right.
I don't know if he's still among us or not, but is he? Give him my love. He's not here, is he? He's not here, right?
He was a good friend. He had been Janis Joplin's road manager.
No. That was John Cook.
No, he had been as well.
Richard Hungen?
Yeah.
Oh, she had a taste in that sort of.
Right.
I get it. Okay, well. Anyway, Richard Hungen was and presumably still is gay as a Christmas party.
Yeah.
And he came in the next morning. I mean, I came down the stairs before Weir did, and he'd heard this whole thing go down, and he looks up at me and he's got this look of, it's just like the most amazing look of excitement and horror and wonder and dread, and he said, I didn't know what to do. I thought about maybe just spraying water on you like dogs.
Might have worked. I expect it would have, actually.
Oh, sure.
Just turn the hose on those guys.
Okay. Hold on, we got
What do you bet?
You got rules?
Hi, I wanted to thank you. My friend and I were the first winners of your ticket giveaway for Move Me Brightly. And when we found out about it, I was just like, I know, I'm going to be the first winner. I said, I want to go to that show. And I saw it on Twitter, and I said, I'm just going to go down to 710 Ashbury and wait for them to put the tickets there. And there they were. So whose idea was that to give away tickets to winners?
I think you're standing right next to him.
Really?
There's that cartoon that was in the National Lampoon of a guy standing by his mailbox, or it's actually about a 6-foot-tall dachshund standing by his mailbox.
Oh, go ahead. Have it your way, but I'll tell it the other way.
With a bun on either side, and it said, and he's reading his mail, and it says, "You may already be a wiener."
I think in the cartoon that he was a wiener.
Oh, well,
with legs and arms.
funny what.
But, you know, history's what you remember.
Right.
And I've never been around wiener dogs, so.
Next question.
Mr. Weir, in the cover story of this May 1990 Sports Illustrated, there's a fabulous photo of you, Bill Walton, and Mickey Hart. Is there anything that you've learned in your long friendship with Mr. Walton? And what was it like to sing the national anthem with Trixie's dad and Vince Welnick in 1993 at Candlestick Park for the Giants game? It talks about that it was a 3-hour rehearsal in this amazing article, Sports Illustrated article, the Bill Walton question and the national anthem at Candlestick Park. Thank you.
Interesting thing about Bill Walton is when I first met him back in late 70s, I guess it was. He was just first starting to play pro, and he was playing for Portland. I guess the Portland Trailblazers, and I looked out at the audience and I thought everybody was sitting down except for one guy. Then I looked over the lip of the stage and nope, everybody's standing up. So after the show we met, and the guy couldn't talk, he stuttered so badly. He had a speech impediment that was impossible. He couldn't get a thought out, couldn't get a sentence out. Somehow he got past it, and I think it was through singing. I've asked him on numerous occasions how he got past that, and never got the same answer. But I think it was probably just singing our tunes, because they say that singing is
He didn't sing anything else.
Right. As for and then there's another story that tell some other time about me and Bill in Egypt, which was a lot of fun. But no, what was the second part? What was it like to sing the national anthem with Jerry and Vince? It's an interesting story. I've been doing some environmental work. I just had a piece published by the New York Times on their op-ed page about a standard rape and plunder timber giveaway bill that was skating unseen through Congress, and I was working with some environmental outfits to torpedo that bill, and I'd written this article that was published in the New York Times, and had also gone through right when that came out, when that article was coming out, we were playing in D.C., and so we had a day off, and I was stalking the halls of Congress with a couple of bigwig environmental guys, and one by one, the bill was in the Senate, so we were going to various senators' offices, and finally ended up in Senator Al Gore's office, who was the only guy who agreed to help us, because everybody else owed favors to the guys who were pushing the bill through Congress. But Al didn't, and it just incensed him. He didn't know about the bill, nor did any of the other senators. It was just being attached as a writer to a popular bill that was going through. And so Al went to the Senate floor and just railed against the bill, and we missed the cloture vote by one vote, and the bill passed the Senate and had to go back to the House for what they call markup, to settle the differences between the House bill and the Senate bill. And in that time, I had papered what they call the Senate, put little flyers on all the senators' desks about why this bill's a bad idea. And in the time that it was, the bill was in markup, about 3 weeks, one of the senator's aides brought the bill to a senator. He was from Wyoming, and said, "Senator, there are these maps on this flyer here, and I can see that this one parcel of land in southern Montana where the raping and plundering was going to go on is directly adjacent to your land holdings, your ranch in northern Wyoming." And the senator said, "Well, yes, it is." And then the aide, I guess, told him, "Well, Senator, that's they're going to clear cut that land. That's going to substantially change the view from your front porch." "Well, yes, it will." So that senator put a hold on the bill, and that means the bill is finished, it's done, it's dead. And so we managed to shoot it out of the water that time around. And in explaining why he put a hold on the bill, he didn't do any homework whatsoever. He just quoted me word for word, which I was quietly proud.
Well, oddly enough, I met his son at the anthropology conference the other day, and his son is a devout deadhead.
Right.
Malcolm Wallen's son.
Well, anyway, so that exact same bill came through, skating through Congress again 2 years later. We shot it down again, but the only difference is that one parcel of land in southern Montana was traded out for a piece further north. That was the only difference. And once again, like I say, we shot it down, but that senator's name, by the way, was Dick Cheney.
No, that's not fair. It's Malcolm Wallop.
Huh?
Malcolm Wallop.
Dick Cheney is the guy who put the
Dick Cheney was never a senator from Wyoming.
Well,
in any case, he was. I'll argue the point with you just because Dick Cheney actually did a lot of good things for the environment. That was one of the weird things about it.
Really? Well,
problematic in Wyoming.
That was what I heard. But anyway, so anyway, while I'm still railing against this bill, we go down from DC to Atlanta, where the good folks at CNN wanted to have me come and talk about that a little bit, and so I was on the air talking about this, and they had the green screen behind me, and they had pictures of these machines that clear cut forests. You know, it's not a jobs issue because two guys, a truck driver and this machine operator, can clear cut a forest, and that was going on behind me. And meanwhile, the two senators from Montana were on the phone in the. I found out later were on the phone to the newsroom, and I could see through the window to the newsroom back there, all the guys with their monitors and stuff like that, all holding their sides and laughing. Get that guy off of there! Anyway, so then they went into some advanced character assassination. You know, what's this drug-addled hippie? You know, are you going to listen to him, or are you going to listen to a qualified expert on the subject like this? You know, like our timber industry guys. And meanwhile, we come back from they're full-throated doing character assassination on yours truly. Meanwhile, we come back, and Jerry and me and Vince sing the national anthem for opening day at Candlestick Park, and it was a slow day in the news. They got some good footage. It was the first day of baseball season, and it made every network. You know, with the wind in our faces, and we nailed the national anthem. We really nailed it. So it felt real good. And the cherry on the sundae was that during the sound check, Tony Bennett was there, and so he just hops on out to the picture sound with us, and we got to sing the national anthem with Tony Bennett. I'll tell you, that's a
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Trixie, did you ever hear about when the White House called and wanted to have a picture of your father planting a tree with the first George Bush?
The White House called
Yeah.
and wanted to have a picture of Jerry and George.
And the first George Bush planting a tree together. Honestly, no, there was this thing in Harper's Magazine about hacking and cracking and computer stuff very early in 1989. And I was in this forum, and I'd said at some point that a day could come where it would be a moral obligation to break into the White House computer system. This is in 1990. And they put that on the flyleaf, you know, on newsstand versions of Harper's. And so 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from the White House. And I said, okay, I was afraid I might hear from you. And the guy said, well, it's not about that, actually. I mean, that's how we found out about you, but we found out that you've been a Republican county chairman and that you know Jerry Garcia. And I said, yeah. So you might be the best person to ask Jerry Garcia. Here's what. We were sitting around the White House trying to figure out how to get a lot of trees planted for global warming purposes. And we thought, if you know, Jerry Garcia went and told all the deadheads to plant a tree, a lot of trees would get planted.
It's nice. It's beautiful.
It was a kind of weird, clear thinking, but yeah. And so somebody said, well, how about if the president and Jerry Garcia plant trees together?
Surely that'll work.
So they
What
called
could possibly
me up.
go wrong?
They called me up and said, what do you think? And I said, well, obviously I'm going to have to call up Garcia and see what he thinks, but I have a funny feeling I know. and he said, well, the President of the United States. President of the United States. Yeah? Okay, well, let's have a meeting tomorrow at Front Street. And he comes down the next day and he says, I've been thinking, you know, I remember that picture of Richard Nixon and Sammy Davis Jr. Neither one of them got a damn thing out of that. Hard to argue with. And I said, but I think that we can maybe get them to do stuff if they think that you're going to do this. And he said, well, all right. I mean, we can play along with this a little bit. And I said, let me see how many serious officials I can gather in the Four Seasons when you play in D.C. And we'll just see what we can get them to do. And it was amazing. We got the head of the Forest Service. We got the head of the EPA. It was like this huge platoon of, you remember that? It was like, we were completely taken aback. We had all kinds of power, and Garcia's like, he looks like God on a bad day. And he's looking around at this group of people.
Sweet.
He wants to do something, but he can't imagine what it's going to be under the circumstances. And finally, somebody suggested that it would be a good idea to get the government printing office to use nothing but recycled paper. And they agreed to it. And that was where that came from, and he didn't have to plant a tree or nothing.
That's a big deal.
But it was an odd moment.
And a missed